Hi, good morning, everyone. It's Sunday, May 15th, and we are here for our retreat day, the conclusion of the Discovering Buddhism Transforming Problems class with Venerable Amy Miller. And it's also an open retreat day for those of you who wanted to come and do some of the mind training meditations and discussions with us. We're happy all of you are here. We've got people in the Zoom room. We've got people in the Gompa at LMB. So let's get started. I'll pass things off to Venerable Amy. Good morning, Venerable Amy.
Good morning, everyone. This is actually one of my first hybrid classes, so I'm delighted that you're here. I'm sorry we don't have the screen available in this room. We're in the Land of Medicine Buddha Gompa, just to show those of you on the screen where we are in California. And it would be nice if we had the screen and we could all kind of be together, you see each other. So for now, we're just, we'll be patient with that. But I'm delighted to be here with all of you from the class and with all of you right here in front of me, which is delightful. So everybody here is being really kind and they're masking. So, which I've asked them to do, which is really kind. I'm not going to do it because it's hard to hear me sometimes. So thank you so much. And what we're going to do just to begin, let's just bring ourselves here into the space. Find a comfortable posture for your body. And a kind of important part about it is to relax as much as possible. So we have an idea about meditation, and sometimes we're all wrapped up with the shoulders up by the ears and the brow knotted, and it's serious business, okay? But it's actually comes from a very relaxed place. And there was a Lama that used to teach here a lot that I was really close with, Zopa Rinpoche, and probably sitting right here, I remember him once saying, in order to meditate well, you have to thoroughly disengage your nervous system. So thank you so much. So it's, what, tissue boxes aren't okay?
Totally okay.
We're just trying to get the, I'm just going to raise this a little bit. Thank you. I'm not really sure that I do.
So this here,
Oh.
and then it has all these different levels. Yeah. Maybe there,
There we go.
and then pull that out.
Look at that. But see, I think this raises up as well, no? Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay, mine goes all the way up. No problem. That's great. Sorry, getting this. Okay. So to think about the relaxing your body, and what we're going to do, so just close your eyes lightly and notice any adjustments you want to make in your body. There will be time in between sessions. There'll be like half an hour meditation, sometimes 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'll mention just stand up and stretch. Okay, we'll go from 10 to 1 or however long you can participate, but there will be a longer half-hour break in the middle of that. So just to give you, that way you can go to the bathroom. And when you are getting into meditation, as many of you know, what you want to do is set up good habits. So even with a 3-hour segment, the session today, you really want to set up a good habit where we're not getting up during the periods and going out and, you know, and I'm having my drink and I'm making more tea. You're really in the session to create the focus for your mind. And then there'll be breaks, and then you can stand and stretch. And you feel free to adjust at any other time while you're sitting if you need to. And you can just do it more subtly like that, so it doesn't disturb the meditation. Let's just allow your respiration to deepen as you close your eyes. And our traditional meditation practice is the head is subdued, slightly tipped forward. So not all the way up here where you get distraction, all the way down here where you get drowsy. Subdued position for the neck. Eyes lightly closed and they're focused towards the tip of the nose or the floor and the space in front of you. As you have your spine as extended as possible, you can think that your sides are long. So you feel that extension. It's really helpful to get into good habits, not to lean heavily against a wall or the back of a chair if you're sitting on a chair, because your back will become strong over time. And it's perfectly fine to meditate sitting in a chair. So you may want to have a cushion under your feet depending on the size of the chair, the height of the chair. Or you can be in any cross-legged position. So traditionally, our hands are around our navel with the right palm on the left facing up. The thumbs are pressed together. So this tends to close off a subtle vein that goes down the palm of the thumb. And what that does is as you close that off, it cuts delusion in the mind and distraction in the mind. This is all very traditional, but it's really effective. So I'll show those of you on the screen at the right against the body. So my arms actually go out. So they're like two wings of the bird to remind us the right side method, the left side wisdom. Okay? Method are skillful means of bodhicitta or compassion. The wisdom realizing emptiness, the other side. So those are the components we need, we develop to become enlightened, to benefit all living beings. So again, your shoulders may feel a little tweaked as you get used to. If you send your shoulder blades down your back, that can help with this posture. Just imagine them going down your back. If you're in a chair, have your feet straight down, not crossed, so the body's balanced. The lips are lightly together. The teeth are slightly apart. And the tongue can be curled to touch the upper palate and the mouth behind the front teeth. See if you can find your way into this, what's called the 7-point Varachana or Virachana posture. Virachana is an aspect of the Buddha that brings us our form. Now, there are many different forms of meditation posture. This just happens to be one that has been known to be effective for meditation. And as you settle into this posture, let's begin at the top of our heads. Take a couple of minutes to scan down through your entire body, noting the places you're holding tension. Use your inhalation to open up space in the tension, and use your exhalation to release that tension as much as possible. And let's explore now the posture of the mind. How's your mind right now? How are you feeling? Can you observe gently? And if you're noticing something less than generous with your mind, we can shift that by setting good motivation. You may be noticing positive qualities in your mind right now, peaceful, happy. We can enhance that by setting a good motivation. And we're very focused in this tradition on benefiting all living beings. As humans, we're very limited in that process of helping all living beings. As a fully enlightened being, we have every ability, every capacity, because our mind is omniscient. We're free of all fear as a result of that, and have every good quality fully manifest. So, meditation is a way to move ourselves along that path to enlightenment, especially meditations to transform problems into happiness. We have a different way we deal and look at our problems. So, if you like this notion to benefit all living beings by making some strides in meditation, getting some information in today's practices, feel free to roll that into your motivation. Just taking a moment right now, directing your energy in this most positive way. Please set that intention for our time together and all the activities of the rest of your day. And let's clear out some of the subtle channels right now by doing the 9-round breathing. So there's many pranayama practices, many breathing practices. Lama Yeshe style, I'm going to begin with an exhalation. So if you'd like, you can close off your right nostril. You can do so with your finger if you'd like. I'm going to exhale deeply through my left nostril. As I inhale, I'm going to close off my left nostril, inhaling deeply through the right. And I know it looks reversed on the camera. That's okay. Imagine as you do this, you're releasing anger and hatred from your mind stream, lessening that 3 times. Our next round, we're going to close off the left nostril, exhaling deeply through the right. As we inhale, close off the right nostril, inhaling deeply through the left. As you do this, imagine you're lessening attachment and desire from your mind 3 times. The last round, we're going to exhale deeply through both nostrils. Inhale deeply through both nostrils. As you do this, imagine you're lessening confusion and ignorance from your mind stream 3 times. And allow your mind right now to rest on the breath, a normal, natural breath. You just follow the air as it moves in and out of the nostrils. And feel free if you would like to count your breaths. So an inhalation and an exhalation is 1. And if you lose the breath, just gently bring your mind back. Begin counting again at 1. So see how far you can count. Just gently, keeping the mind focused there. 5 minutes. let's look a little bit more closely at the mind to see what it is we're working with. Meditation is a way to get to know your mind better, to actually become friends with your mind, even as cliched as that sounds. But we want to notice patterns over time. There's habits, things we want to change, and you can absolutely change those habits, but we first have to look at them, be aware of what's happening, why certain negative tendencies get activated, why these positive ones get activated, and how they come about. So as you focus again on the breath, a few things I'd like you to notice, and I know some of you are very experienced, some are brand new. Every day for me, it is begin again with my meditation practice. The mind's the same mind happening, showing up, and it's different every day. So we keep fine-tuning, bringing the picture clear into focus. So as you rest your mind on the breath, just notice what distracts you now. Maybe it's an idea, your agenda, and what you're going to do after the meditations today, what you're going to do this week. Just label it thinking or a thought, and back to the breath. Maybe a sound distracts you. Just label it hearing or a sound. Let it go. Back to the breath. You can also notice the distractions, like bubbles of thoughts. Let them float off. No need to give one any more attention than another, which solidifies it. Again, you try your best. And again, look at your posture. If you're hunched over right now, you're not getting the nice space, the flow for your body for the meditation. So check the posture. So back to the breath. Try your best. Let the mind rest on the breath. Notice what arises. 5 minutes. Please relax, and when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. And if anyone would like to stand and stretch in place, feel free. We will go for another hour with just the short stretch breaks, and then at 11:30 we'll have a half an hour break. And then have one more hour after that. There'll also be time a little later for some questions and answers and discussion. Anything about meditation, anything about the class, like that. Everybody doing okay? Lovely to see all of you. Is it Helen from New York? Can't remember her last name. Hi, Helen. And if you're newer to meditation or you're setting up a meditation practice in your home, just the way somebody here just transitioned from a chair to a cushion, you can do that in retreat. I know people that they have their cushion, they have their chair. Our knees as we get older are not so great. And so we just, absolutely, you can do that. Make yourself comfortable. I know someone who got to a very high level of Shine in a chair, meditating for a couple of years, sitting in a chair. So we have these ideas, we have fixed notions in our heads. It has to be like this, right? Retreat has to be like this. Actually, it's really about spending time with your mind, getting to know your mind and figuring out how to undo, how to transform some of the negative aspects of it, being gentle with the negative aspects because we're human beings. That's how we're wired, but we're on a path to change that. And then you have lots of good qualities. So enhancing that. I find meditation's the best way in there to do that. So helpful for life support. It's our life support, really. Okay, so we're going to do a meditation now on what could be better. So just settle into that comfortable posture again. Sometimes with meditation, well, what's most important for any activity, especially your meditation practice, is to set that positive intention. So we've already done that. You might have a motivational prayer you like to say. Fantastic. I'm just going to bring in right now the 4 immeasurables. So these are 4 immeasurable prayers that basically they're immeasurable because we're thinking of countless living beings we want to send them to. Countless living beings. And they're also immeasurable because we don't want to limit love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Those are the 4 prayers we send to people. Love, compassion, joy, equanimity. So this can be a nice preliminary for meditations you're doing so, I'd just like you to think right now, maybe of yourself or one person in particular who's struggling that you know. If your mind feels more spacious, you can think of people in our community, the homeless, the people in New York, the shooting that happened yesterday, people in Ukraine, more beings on the planet, whatever you like. Let's send these wishes to them right now, these prayers. And just think in your mind, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. Let that loving energy flow from your heart. Just imagine that's immeasurable love. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. Here's immeasurable compassion. May all beings be free from suffering and all the causes of suffering. Immeasurable joy. May all beings experience the happiness that is beyond suffering. And immeasurable equanimity. May all beings experience equanimity, free from attachment to some and hatred towards others. So in your own mind, you just, at times, depending how much time you have, can spend some time with those thoughts. I'd like you to reflect right now on the biggest problem in your life right now. Could be a difficult relationship, or disharmonious workplace or family life. Maybe you have serious health problems, financial problems, depression, anxiety, fatigue. Whether it's just forces working against you, nothing ever seems to go your way, but be specific. And allow your mind to feel very strongly the mind that is thinking, this is a problem. Notice how your mind circles around, this is a problem. Just notice that. Notice that mode of thinking as you focus on this problem. Notice any discomfort you may experience in your body right now in relation to this problem. And notice the mind that wants this problem out of your life. Notice that mind pushing it away. So we often think, well, now what? What do I do about it? There's different views we can have to dissolve this and transform it. Let's look at using renunciation right now. Renunciation. When we think of renunciation, we often think we have to give something up. People think I have to give my money away, my house away. That's not renunciation. In this tradition, basically, it's giving up whatever disturbs your mind. It's that simple. Whatever disturbs your mind, you're suffering. So let's just think, using renunciation with your problem. And we often have unrealistic ways we engage in our reality. Okay, let's look at that. Just think, as long as I am in samsara, okay, samsara is a Sanskrit term that means to cycle or to turn. And what it signifies is we're turning through birth, old age, sickness, and death. All of that is a mess. Sorry to inform you. So as long as I'm in samsara, just think, and I'm under the influence of karma and delusion, what do I expect? Did I think life would be free of problems? Living in samsara means having problems and suffering. Just reflect on that for a moment. That's life on the planet. But look at how your mind thinks at times. I don't want to have any problems. I don't want to have any problems. Is that realistic? Do you know anybody that doesn't have any problems? But ask yourself another question. Why do I continue to endure this? Why don't I make some effort to get out of samsara? You can do it. You can get out of samsara. Absolutely. And reach a state called nirvana, liberation, which is a permanent cessation of all your mental afflictions. Can you imagine? Everybody here in the Zoom room, everybody here in the Gompa can reach that state. It's attainable for each of you. So just ask yourself, why do I continue to put up with the suffering, to endure the suffering? And here's the second question. Why do I keep thinking there will be lasting happiness in samsara? Notice how you grasp onto that. Lasting happiness in samsara. Isn't this problem a perfect reminder that there's no purpose to stay in samsara? It's always going to be like this. So wouldn't I really like to renounce the suffering of that? So couldn't it just be a different way to think? What if I turn my thinking upside down and use the problem to get out of samsara by helping me generate renunciation to samsara? But please explore this problem you brought up in your mind, how you've been thinking about it. Get creative, how you might think about it differently. And reflect, please, without this problem, I might be deluded into thinking that there's happiness in samsara. And we do have these moments of happiness. Very temporal happiness shows up. We get attached to that. And then how surprising it changes. And here comes another problem. That's samsara's nature. So here's another way to look at this problem. Because of the problem, I am reminded of my shortcomings and limitations. My inability at times to be happy in the face of challenges. So this is a way that helps reduce your pride, helping to generate humility. So it helps me reduce my pride, just think, helping me to generate a true mind of renunciation, to at least develop, begin to grow that renunciation, that real distaste of suffering, wishing to give up suffering. You can think, this is useful, this problem. This can be useful. And we often think in our tradition, working through challenging problems can be a form of purification. So I need to purify more negative tendencies to become a Buddha. This helps me purify. So look at your problem from that view. Growing humility, purification. Now let's put things in perspective as well that helps us deal with the problem. We may feel we're the only ones experiencing this problem. I'm alone in this problem. Okay? But there are countless living beings. Just reflect, experiencing the same problem as you right now. Similar situation. They're feeling the same pain, frustration, anxiety, physical discomfort, whatever it is, just like you. And think many of them perhaps experiencing something much worse. Please reflect deeply on that right now. And just think, others didn't create this problem for me. So according to Tibetan Buddhism, everything comes from the mind. There's nobody external to blame for your problem. And we're not blaming ourselves. We're simply acknowledging the process. The seed was in my mind that is coming to fruition, being experienced as a problem right now. That's all. So other beings that seem to be causing me harm, that seem to be causing this problem, they're unfortunately creating more harm for themselves in the future. But I'm exhausting, just think, due to the nature of the problem. Again, I am exhausting my negative karma through this experience. I am purifying. So because of this, I'll be free of future suffering. Fantastic. Can I endure this? But can I endure it with a happier mind? So reflecting on your problem again that we started in the beginning, just observe, how does it feel now? Please relax. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes. And feel free if you'd like to stand and stretch. And then in a half an hour, we'll have a little bit longer break. Everybody doing okay? Thank you, because you're all quite good sitters and meditators here and in Zoom. Look like you're working very hard. It's nice to see when sometimes two people show up on the screen. You know, they're like doing it together. It's really sweet. So in your own life, if you'd like, you have a day off, just training ourselves like habits. You make a little 2-hour, 3-hour retreat. We can do that. I know we're busy, but that's how it starts is you say, I think I'll have a little 9 to noon slot. And you just, and you can listen to recordings, listen to guided meditations. And you see the balance of the day. You see how it keeps the mind buoyant with perspective. And then you maybe say, as things get more open at your centers, oh, they have a day-long retreat. I think I'll do that. I think I'll rent a room and do a weekend and slowly, or I think I'll go to this retreat center and do something longer as places get opened up. So you really set some nice habits. And because some of you are home now doing it, that energy's there in your home. That's how it gets created. And you set up your own sitting space. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it's that habit of the mind. Like I have a little place and I have a little 1-room cabin and I have this place so I'm attracted to go there. It's my safe space to sit with my mind. You have a bad day at work. You sit down and you go, well, what happened today? Wasn't happy today. And you look at it. But what happens for most of the planet, they don't make a space like that. So then they're unhappy due to a variety of problems we have. And they go home and they put the TV on and they put the live stream, the computer, binge watching. They have a drink, then they have another drink, then they overeat, then they yell at their partner. That's how they cope. Not best coping mechanisms. So find those healthy ones. Make a balance of a little rotation. So you've got your mind. That's a meditation. But I like to get out in nature. I find that healthy. Like people come here and they hike. It's beautiful. We're by the seaside. You go walk along the ocean. But when I do it sometimes, my mind's still in a meditative space because I don't have this electronic kind of, which creates more distraction because I need something move. And I see people, I've seen the millennial generation, God bless, right? Some of you may be of that generation, but my niece and nephews growing up, the screen was on, right? The phone was in their hand, something else happening, and on the screen, several things happening. So they're no wonder that generation is full of anxiety and depression. They need a constant stimulation and to be still is unnerving for them. So in the meditation practice, you learn to be still and content with yourself, like the quiet. How often do we get that space? It's a powerful space to just, even if it's 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, you start. That's how you start a meditation practice. Don't start with an hour of, it's too long for new people. 10 minutes, I just kind of, how's it going? I think I'll set a motivation for the day. Good enough. The end of the day, you come back and you go, how did it go? Oh yeah, I had a motivation. I never thought about it again. But here I am. And some parts of the day, the first part you have to look at is some parts of the day went well. That's important. Because what we tend to do is focus on what didn't go well. And that's all. But parts of the day went well. I was always a little bit more patient with that person today. That one, in a balanced way. Not an egomaniac, but that was good. But then later in the day, I got a little tired. So I was a little snippy. Okay. So and then you make a commitment. Tomorrow, when I see that person, I can apologize. I can write them a message apologizing. Or I'll be more patient with myself and them. This is the best I'm doing. So again, slowly, and then you learn more techniques, more practices, more meditations over time So you build that Dharma toolbox. So then when I'm in front of somebody again, and it's not going well, I know what what meditation to reach for, what practice, what technique in front of them, and then back onto my safe space, my cushion, to do a little deeper level with meditation. That's how it works. I found it to be so powerful, actually, for my mind over years to see, and be patient with yourself, because I said over years. So we want it all done in 2 weeks. That's not this path. Find another path. It's not here. But with the effort in the right directions, I have seen shifts in my mind, subtle shifts in the mind, and enough subtle ones, little ones, then you're here and suddenly you're over here. That's pretty significant. Okay, Tonglen meditation. Tonglen meditation. Oh, so can you repeat this? Meditation will be.
That was from the one you just finished, Venerable Amy, and I think we picked it up. The volume zapped out just as you were announcing it.
Is the volume good now?
It's fine now, yeah, thank you. I
So
would have stopped you.
That meditation was called, technically in the course, Transforming Problems. But again, some of the meditations in the class that you can bring up online, and if you want, have a device in front of you and read it. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not going to have them all memorized. You read a few sentences. Think about it. Right? When they think, then you're ready, read another couple sentences. Maybe you read one sentence. Reflect deeply. Go into your own experiences in your life. Maybe something you read in a book. Maybe something you heard in a class. That's analytical meditation. Come from every angle until you hit the point to a juicy place at your heart, not in the head, not the intellectual, in your heart. And then you want to focus your concentration there, deep in that experience. Like suddenly you go, oh, this problem isn't so bad. Great, I can use it. Okay, then stay there with it. That's how we combine analytical with concentration meditation. Very powerful. So what I did is, it's a longer meditation. I just took one part of it. Applying renunciation with your problem. Okay? Later, we're going to look at another part of that meditation. Break them down like that. It's possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is a very powerful meditation called Tonglen. Many people have heard of this. Tonglen means taking and giving. Taking and giving. Usually they'll say giving and taking, but you first need to take before you give. So I'll explain. You're taking suffering from others. And people say, well, who wants that? Right? That's why it's a very profound meditation that comes as part of the teachings on bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, this Sanskrit word that means the enlightened consciousness, enlightened mind. The crux of it is, I want to get enlightened. Why? To benefit all living beings. Benefit all living beings. It's all about cherishing others more than yourself. Bodhicitta. When you've attained bodhicitta, you become a bodhisattva, Buddhist saint. And their whole manifestation is to benefit others. That's where they derive all their happiness from. So they're not actually Buddhas yet. They're well on their way. So this Tonglen practice comes in there's two main methods to develop bodhicitta. 7-point cause and effect method, right? We talked about that in the class quite a bit. And the second secret method is called equalizing and exchanging self with others. Okay? Equalizing and exchanging self with others. It was secret mainly because of this Tonglen experience. Who would want to take other suffering? People think it's crazy. So we don't prevalently talk about it with people that don't understand. Because they'll say, well, you want somebody's cancer? Okay. You don't get somebody's cancer. It's an attitude. Simply an attitude. Okay? And once I imagine taking that suffering, and I'll describe the visualization you can do, is then they're freer of the suffering, right? Then I want to offer all my happiness. Give away all the positive things I've experienced. And so again, people say, would you want to do that? I want to enjoy my happiness. Okay? So this is turning your thinking upside down, that you will derive all your happiness from. Right? That's why this is number 11 in the 14 modules, because it comes after a basis of understanding some of these other modules of discovering Buddhism, higher level practice. And bodhicitta practices, of course, come in what's called the scope with the motivation for the higher capable being on our path. Because it's quite profound, right? So both of those methods to develop bodhicitta, 7-point cause and effect method and equalizing, exchanging self with others, both rest on a basis of equanimity, equal regard, equal respect for all beings. Okay, so we first want to have that more spacious mindset as we engage with this. And then when we're taking the suffering, and I'll describe how you can visualize. Okay, it's not harming me, but at my heart is a constricted knot of all my self-cherishing, all my self-absorption, all my selfishness. That's what it harms. That's what I want to reduce. Because with that in the way, I'm never going to be happy. Never going to be ultimately happy. So we're reducing that constricted knot. As I reduce it, I'm freer and more spacious. I have more to offer the others. So please relax, find a comfortable posture. And lightly close your eyes. And always helpful to settle the mind on the breath as just to balance ourselves. So there are variations on this meditation. And often the person that gets left out of these meditations is ourself. So we're going to start with ourselves, and just imagine now across from yourself is an identical replica seated across from you of yourself. And just visualize as best as you can, or just get a sense that there's this replica of yourself across from you. And as you look across at that copy of yourself, just take a moment to experience the various ways you suffer. And as much as you can in your heart right now, generate this huge wish that you be free of all of that suffering. And imagine you seated here now in your space. Imagine that constricted knot of your selfishness, your self-cherishing at your heart center. Won't we love to reduce that? So imagine as you inhale, you are drawing out from the front visualization of yourself all of that suffering. You can visualize light rays that represent that suffering to you. You can visualize environmental toxins or words like racism and hatred, images of war, poverty, animals that can kill you, poisonous plants. Imagine all of that, those images, the light rays coming in to that constricted knot of your self-cherishing, dissolving it over and over and over, reducing it, purifying it. Let's just start with the inhale. Just practice every time you inhale, taking the suffering from the front visualization, letting it reduce your self-cherishing. And let's now focus on the giving, just your exhalation. Every time you, in your space here, exhale, because you're coming from a place of freer, more spacious mind, from reducing your self-cherishing, can you offer to the front visualization of yourself whatever images represent happiness, bliss, peace, whether it's colored light rays, images of that, giving that to the front visualization of yourself as they inhale, and imagine them experiencing a deep sense of happiness and peace. Just focusing on the giving right now. And see now if you can mount it on your breath. Every inhalation, taking the suffering from the front visualization of yourself. Every exhalation, offering all the kindness, all the bliss, all the happiness, giving to the front visualization of yourself. Tonglen, giving and taking. Just try your best. So please look across now at the front visualization of yourself. Make any acknowledgement you like before we release this being back to the space from which they came. And just release them back to the space as all the light rays and everything comes back into the center of your heart. Just observe your mind for a moment. Please relax and slowly, when you're ready, open your eyes. So we're going to do a little more on that meditation a little later, building up the visualization. And what I thought is if we don't need a half an hour break, we could take 20 minutes. And then we're going to have a little discussion, questions and answers for just 15 minutes or so. Or does that sound okay to everybody? So 20 minutes, sound okay? Everybody there? Okay. 20 minutes. And then we will meet back. So if you can keep your mind, if you can keep silence during the 20 minutes, really helpful. Okay. Watch your mind. Watch your mind in the 20 minutes. Notice anything that bubbles up from the meditations, anything you're thinking about. Have a little look like that and just keep that meditative space 20 minutes. Thank you. Greetings. Welcome back. Welcome back. Mhm. So I just thought while some people are coming back, any particular questions regarding the meditations, anything about meditation in general, transforming problems, please. Yes. What's your name?
Ruth.
Ruth. Ruth. Question from Ruth. I will relay it if you cannot hear.
I'll try and condense it. The Tanglen practice I've been practicing, and it's my own imagination, of course, that's adapted it. And what I did, the self-centeredness, I put as I visualized it as a volcano. It's a lot, big ego. Right? So when I'm taking on the suffering of others, or my afflictions, which are many. And so I'll breathe them in to this volcano, knowing that a volcano can destroy anything. And then when I breathe out, then this loving energy in theory comes out, and transforms my afflictions. And sometimes it can come out. I might need to do that a few times. And then if I'm giving somebody, say, healing or trying to reduce their suffering, then it comes out towards whatever I believe they need, or they, So I was just wondering, what do you think of that type of Tonglen practice? Thank you.
Okay, so Ruth's talking about having a volcano here at her heart that can destroy everything. So she's breathing into that. And then a bit more specifically, anyone she's thinking about, giving them what she thinks they need, like that. So for me, the volcano is complicated. Like, I would keep it simple. And a volcano has this ability to erupt with negativity and like harming. So I don't know if that would work so much for me. I just, this constricted knot, which when I feel myself cherishing, it feels like that in my heart. So, you get tight, or someplace in the body like that. So that's just my own personal take on it. I've never heard it described that way, but the other thing I wanted to mention, just for people in the Gompa right now, is if it's okay, Teresa's taking a photo for our e-letter, maybe publicized. If you don't want to be publicized in there, let us know and we can change that. So I just wanted to know it. So then if you're giving somebody what you think they need, that could be nice. If you're feeling like they're free from cancer, they're free from pain, and you can visualize that. I like to put it into imagery sometimes because I feel like it's helpful. That's just how my mind tends to work. But that's a nice idea to give them if we really truly know what people really need and want, right? So, but we certainly have a level where we understand what they need and want, like that. Does that help?
Yeah, reducing the suffering,
Reducing the suffering is a great one, just to think of them free and happy, healthy. They don't have the disease anymore. They're not in pain anymore. They're not, like, sometimes I'll think of them. So when you're doing it, and again, we did it for a short time, you can do it for longer depending on your time. So the longer you can do it is you're really in this space where you just imagine them freer and happier, like that. And you just try your best. It's a very profound practice. So they often talk about mounting it on your breath. It's the essence of the Mahayana tradition, is to relieve others of suffering and give them happiness. It's kind of the core of everything we're doing. It's really important practice. And it has been known to cure people of grave illnesses. Seriously, if you have incredible faith in the practice, you're given the practice by your guru, your main spiritual teacher, you do it with incredible faith to follow their advice, and you see them as a Buddha, and it's pretty extraordinary what it's able to do. So I've noticed on my own, baby level, that if I have a conflict with somebody in a workplace, that, if I'm running a center, things like that, and some stuff comes up at Buddhist centers, believe it or not, like people think they're all peaceful places and everybody gets along. Not exactly, right? Because people are human, so they still have delusion, and I think people at Buddhist centers are able to bring more personal stuff to their work, which we like to work out. So we have a little bit more freedom with that, and so if you are having an issue, and where sometimes I've discussed directly with the person and we may have gotten a mediator, but it still didn't shift it. And then I just go back to my room, do my Tonglen with them in front of me. And amazingly, I come out and there'd be some reduction in tension. So I was like, looks like this works. Like, so that's sometimes the best you can do. And I know people that say they look at the news and the world atrocities and they get overwhelmed and with depression and anxiety and paralytic. So if you're on the Mahayana path, it's about trying to be there to benefit all living beings. So I don't want to be paralytic and kind of say, I don't know what to do, so I won't do anything. And so for me, sometimes I just look at the news and I do Tonglen, all the beings in Ukraine, think of taking the war, visualize it, reducing my self-cherishing, give them peace. I've Vladimir Putin, take his insecurities, obviously suffering from grave insecurities and confusion. Well, so am I. Take that into my self-cherishing, reduce that, give him a more balanced mind state, more spacious mind state of bodhicitta. Sometimes that's the best you can do, right? I feel like it does, because it's an attitude, it does something with your mind. that's a ripple you're creating in the universe that comes out from you. Like just us doing that meditation together on Zoom and here in the room together, this group, is very powerful. Like we're sending that ripple out from our energy here, Bay Area energy. I mean, some of you are not just in the Bay Area, but I believe that has an effect on the planet. So one way we can change the world. Yeah, that's right. And it's nice. We have like, I don't know, 12 people in the Zoom room and then, or 10 or 12 or something. And so, and some of you in different parts of the country. Like other questions? Yes, please.
Thank you so much. I found a helpful reminder about the nature of samsara is suffering, and that my problems are only problems by my perspective after those problems. I think
And what's your name?
Samantha.
Samantha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One person.
Yes.
I'm one of those people who's deeply concerned about the environment and where we're headed. And it just occurred to me, is it possible to do Tonglen for Mother Earth? Like,
Sure.
You know, not just people, but
Yeah. I mean, Samantha's saying she's deeply concerned for the environment, as we all are. I think most of us are. So she said, can you do it with Mother Earth? And yeah, absolutely. Like I sometimes, but more I'll think about all the beings on the planet affected, and I'll think of these environmental toxins. I'm taking them on. Let me take all the emissions, all the global warming, all the big gas guzzling vehicles that are out there, all the airplanes that are, and also offer then alternative ways that people can travel and alternative blah, 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 that there'll be a never ending flow of positive resources, renewable resources that are healthy for the planet, like that. So you can do like that. Yeah. I think get creative sometimes. Absolutely. And it is interesting, what you were saying first about your problems, looking at problems. She was saying to shift that mindset is a very powerful mindset. And I don't know if any of you, the first meditation transforming problems, after kind of breathing and looking at the mind, did you have any shift in your problems? Are you able to see your problems a little differently? Or it does, anybody there in this, it does change things. So here's what happens for me is we all have problems. It's samsara. So problem comes up. I'm going to call it a medium sized problem. So I got this medium sized problem because for me, big problems, serious problems are health related. That's serious. You could die, you get cancer. I mean, those are a little bit more serious, but you have medium size, and we have these little teeny problems. We have what we sometimes call developed world problems, right? My niece will say, my phone's broke. Her phone thing cracked, screen. Okay. All right. It is a problem, it can be a hassle, but there's those levels. So if I take a medium-sized problem, something in your workspace going on, you have an anxiety, or like Land of Medicine Buddha, money is a problem. Seriously. We really had incredible struggle in the pandemic. It's far from over for us. We're trying to open. There's significant financial problems. So we're looking to sort it. Got a good group of dedicated people, great people helping here. But I happened to wake up this morning with that in my mind of like, and then what happens is if that's in my mind, then I sleep less. That becomes another problem. Then somehow that problem somehow had energy. So I checked email this morning, and there's something else around the money that wasn't necessarily my worry. It was like another related worry. So see what I'm saying? It solidifies. So suddenly I have medium-sized problem that I'm doing everything I can do about it. It's not just my problem. There's other people working with me. It's not me alone fixing anything. There's great people, dedicated people, right? So we go, and there's people trying to help, so you go, okay. But then if I just keep it, this problem is, I solidify it, it ruminates in my mind, makes a trench of that deeper, that energy goes out, kind of creates a bigger problem now. Like the snowball, when you start rolling a snowball and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So again, I can acknowledge, oh, the money problem, I'll call it. Yeah, well, okay. doing everything we can do about it. Is there anything else I can do? And I'll check, and each day I'll, not really. Okay, well then, like, I don't need to keep thinking about it. I don't need to obsessively think about it. I need to constructively work on it, but I don't need to obsessively think about it. Does that make sense? Right? So think about your problems that way. And what extra energy am I giving that suddenly, and when I mentioned in the beginning, bubbles of thoughts, okay, well, their thoughts have no bubbles have no essence. You try to grab one and it pops. Thoughts are kind of like that, but they have energy. So when I give a thought more energy, that bubble becomes more solid. Can be heavy at times too, if it's a negative thought. Brings the mind down, makes more anxiety in the mind. So those are just things to think about with the thoughts. Like, can I sometimes, if it's ruminating, if you're over ruminating, let the bubbles go. Just watch, see them as bubbles floating off. Like, but again, go back to, am I doing everything I need to do? Take care of it, what you can. Sometimes you can't, there's nothing more you can do. Let it go. Practice letting it go is sometimes what we need to do. And putting it in perspective can be really, really helpful too. So a couple things I just wanted to say that I work with my mind, and that makes sense. You doing okay? Is it Sierra? Am I saying that right? Because suddenly you looked like you had a pained expression on your face. I was like, are you okay there?
Absolutely, I'm fine. I'm just ruminating, I guess, and what you're saying. So yes, thank you.
Yeah, watch that trench, because we make a trench. Once there's a trench, habit. All it is habit, pattern. Then it's so easy for me to fall into it because it's deep, it's there. So I have to kind of break out, pull myself out to new direction. It's possible, but it's hard sometimes. So we do our best. That's all we can do. So again, gentle with yourself in the process, gentle with yourself. It's really, really important, because we're not often Western culture, we're not all Westerners here. I know that we're not all from Western culture, but can be very, very hard on ourselves. So watch that. Are you taking a crowbar to your practice, or are you, finding the buoyant cushion for my practice, which is the buoyant cushion for my mind and my life, like that. And then it's pleasant what you're doing. It's a pleasant exercise, like that. Yes.
I have a hard time finding the balance between equanimity and total lack of feeling. You know what I mean? Like, so when you talk about the rumination, it reminds me of, if one had more equanimity, we would get to those ruminations, because a lot of that is about attachment, right?
Or aversion.
Or aversion, exactly. Can you speak more to that balance? Because I think you lost a pair of the last couple of years, and I did. And
That I was what?
your parent, your father? Your father?
Oh yeah, 2019.
Yeah.
2019, yes.
My mom in 2020, and so
sorry.
I don't, sorry for your loss as well. I grieve and I feel sad, and there's been times when I felt like, not if I was a better Buddhist, but if I had a more developed sense of equanimity, I might not feel that lost. You know what I mean? I really do struggle with, again, the equanimity, and doesn't mean you have a lack of feeling.
Right. So Samantha's talking about equanimity. How do you maintain avoiding the ruminating thought, okay, and yet avoiding kind of an over attachment and emotionalism like that, or being too detached from something? How do you find the balance? And I think it is like, especially she mentioned she'd lost her mother in 2020. So if you lose a parent and you lose somebody close, a loved one, a friend, it's enormously sad. So I acknowledge that, my tears, my grief, perfectly appropriate. You need that grieving time. I'm sorry, we're not, Iron Maidens, basically, you really need that grieving time. And it's funny, I was just for a moment, I mean, we did have a guy come in and sit down in the meditation. We let a guy into the room. It's all women here right now. But I suddenly had this in the middle of the meditation, this is in tangent. What happens in meditation, this happens in long retreat, whatever, it's these little bubbles come up from long in your background, a TV jingle. I mean, it's scary sometimes. So watch your imprints. Like, what kind of music do you listen to? What kind of programming do you watch? If you watch things if you stream things or watch videos, or what kind of apps do you look at? Protect your mind, right? So for me, suddenly I'm in the middle of the meditation, and I just love these groups of women that we were sitting with. It just happens to be, but we also have guys here, which is great. We need our guys, totally. We're doing this together. But somehow all of a sudden what popped up in the middle of the meditation is all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single, right? What? This is my mind, right? And I just had to kind of be like, focus, Amy, like, would you back to the, right? But again, that's an imprint. Like, so sometimes I'll see something, I'll notice something, and then I think, oh, if I was dying at this moment, is this what I want coming? Like, if I'm dying, and I was saying something to my sister about horror movies or things, and I said to my sister, yeah, if I'm dying, do I want Silence of the Lambs coming up in my mind? Is that what I want playing through my mind? Not really, at that point. So be cautious. Being on retreat for several months once at Laudo near Mount Everest, you're completely alone there pretty much. There's 3 people living on that side of the mountain, and they're incredibly gracious to host your retreat and help you and cook for you. And I'm in the middle of retreat, for some months. And once again, I wish I were an Oscar Mayer, or in the middle of my, so again, these are the imprints. But again, gently, I can laugh, find and then be back to, okay, well, that's, I'm a child of American TV, of that generation of when they had those commercials, and okay, that's all, let it go. And so I think you find a place of the grieving that's appropriate. A friend of yours says, I lost my mother, or, I'm so sorry. You're there with them. What do you need? Can I help you? And then not the over rumination where we're stuck in depression. I will always be a victim, and my parents died, and this is all that's happened to me. And because there are people that don't recover from that. And that becomes, I think, difficult, an obstacle in the path, like that. So again, it's always expanding of thinking of others. The more I think of others, like, I'm sad about my dad. He passed like 2.5 years ago. But when somebody gets into their 90s, that's what's going to happen. Like, I know that. Also, he passed incredibly peacefully. It was exactly how he wanted to do it. I was there for my parents. So all of that helps. And then I just, instead of just me losing my parent, how can I help others in this situation? How can I keep giving back this experience for me, which was strong, for other people going through it now, for other people that will go through it in the future? And that just keeps the mind more buoyant, more balanced. If that makes sense. Yeah. So again, when we talk about detachment in Buddhism, it's not that you're unfeeling in detachment. And I think with renunciation of samsara is I enjoy more, because I understand the nature this is never going to last. This is never going to be perfect. I'm not going to be happy all the time. So that way, when the ice cream cone comes and I am happy, I see it for what it is. And there isn't this over-relation of, you're going to go on a beach holiday for a week with your family. I've seen people that's all they think about for 6 months. Everything's dry. I can't wait to get on I can't wait to get on the plane. It's all, and then they're on it. And then they're 5 days into the holiday, into a 7-day holiday. And on the 5th day, they're completely obsessive about it ending. And they lose their last 2 days. I've seen it happen many times. So it's like, you have your holiday, 7 days, you come, how wonderful, fantastic. It ends. Okay, on to my life, and make your life wonderful. So that's always, it's bringing you up, that you enjoy what you're doing. It's important to love what you're doing. Make sense? Any other comments or questions?
This is Calvin, and I just want to say I found the last comments from Samantha and what you just said very, very helpful. I just lost my mom 2 weeks ago, and so that's why I wasn't able to attend the last 5 sessions, of the series, but it's very, very supportive. So thank you.
I'm so sorry, Calvin. That is so hard. Yeah, many prayers for you directed, just energy. That's hard. Losing the mother, I think, is a big one, really big one. Not everybody has a relationship with their mother or a good one,
Mm.
but that mother, there's nothing like that mother love. It's pretty, yeah,
Mm.
so sorry. Are you warm where you are?
Oh, I'm in San Francisco, so it's cold.
He's all
Sorry.
bundled up. He's in a room, but he's all bundled up, and I'm like, "You
Yeah.
got the heat on there?" Can you-
Especially staying still, I just, that kind of thing. But yeah, but just thank you again. Yeah, my mother lived to be 98 and a half, and and in my eulogy to her, I just said, we had the funeral last week, and I just said, Mom, you cared for us when we could not care for ourselves, and you carry the water, for us for nearly 100 years. So I said, now you transmitted that to us, and we are carrying the water, for you and, our grandchildren, your grandchildren. So, so anyways, thank you again.
Right. That's very powerful to think of that. And boy, to get 98 and a half years, that's pretty amazing. Especially if she was well for most of that. That's amazing life like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's good when you are meditating to get a shawl and keep yourself warm. That's important.
Mm.
Yeah, like that.
Thank you.
Well, I hope your heart, moves through that transition as best as possible. Takes a while.
Well, definitely the meditation that we're doing today is definitely helping. So thank you.
I'm so glad you could join us. Okay, let's go back into some other meditations. And what I want to bring in right now are the 8 verses, which is what this course was focused on. The 8 verses of mind training from Geshe Langri Tangpa. And we're going to do a beautiful meditation with Chen Zig. Chen Zig is the Buddha of infinite compassion. Chen Zig in Tibetan, Avalokiteshvara in Sanskrit. So this is the Buddha. Again, His Holiness is said to be an emanation of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So if you look, for those of you in the room, if you look over there to that Buddha with the 11 heads and all the arms, the statue, and in front is a 4-armed version of Chen Zig, right in between the 2 images of His Holiness. The tankas behind that, on the right is the 1,000-arm picture of the statue, and to the left is the 4-armed version. I'm going to turn you guys around these just so you can see what I'm. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but there's pictures of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. And then there's a big statue of the 1,000-armed Chen Zig. In front, a smaller statue of the 4-armed version. I know it's a little hard to see. Behind on the wall, oh, there we go. Gina just brought up okay. Gina brought up this beautiful image of the 1,000-armed Chen Zig. Thank you. Beautiful. So, but I just was going to show you in the Gompa what I'm gesturing to. So what we're going to do is visualize this Buddha. If you're alone in your room, even if you're here, we can also include, the mantra of this Buddha, Om Mani Padme Hung. That's the mantra of the Buddha of compassion, the shortest version, Om Mani Padme Hung. Now, what it is Om is often an opener for mantras. Mani is jewel. Padme, pronounced by the Tibetans Peme, but spelled Padme, Padme, means lotus, but the Tibetans tend to pronounce it Pemi. It's fine. Okay. Hong is a closer like Amen for mantras. Okay, so on one level, it means things on many different levels, this mantra. It's very profound. On one level, it's more like the all of the universe is like a jewel in the lotus of my heart. Okay. Om Mani Padme Hum is one of our most basic mantras we do. You can do it as quickly as you like, but clearly, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. If you're doing mantras in a group setting, you actually do have air leave your mouth, but not loud enough to disturb the person sitting next to you. So it may be like that. On your own space, you can do it. You can do the mantra or not. It's up to you. What we're going to do is visualize this Buddha over top our crown. Okay. And then I'm going to read the 8 verses, telling you a little bit how to think about it while we're doing this with this Buddha, helping us with light rays descending. So just to give you different types of meditations that you can do. And this is all, again, about, you'll hear in these 8 verses, some of you have studied the 8 verses of the last few weeks. And the 8 verses are something in our profound teachings called lojong. Lo is mind. Jong, Jong, lojong, mind training. Mind training is all about transforming problems into happiness. That's the essence of it. There are different mind training texts. The 8 verses is one of the most common, most familiar, most popular of those. And they're very, very profound for your mind. And I'll give you an example, because one of them says, when others are harming you and, upsetting you, whatever, offer the victory to others, the famous verse 5. And people are like, what? I was right, but I was right. So again, you can be right and you can continue fragmentation with people. Okay. So if you apologize sincerely, right, whether you're right or wrong, it diffuses the conflict. And that's really the point of mind training. So whether you feel like you might have felt like I didn't really do anything wrong, but I'm usually sorry if there's a conflict between me and someone else, because I own that my mind created that for myself. If I continue to blame the other, doesn't really solve anything. So if I can keep I'm really sorry that there is this problem between us. I'm so sorry for any part I've played in it. And I really am sorry about that, because there's something I've done from my side that's creating this. So Tibetan Buddhism takes much ownership for our minds, what our minds are creating. So from this point on, we can also learn to be careful with the activities of our body, speech, and mind, so that we're trying to create more and more virtuous patterns, virtuous experiences, and to steer away from the negative like that. Okay, so let's sit comfortably. And Gina, if you want to bring back the image for people to reference from time to time. Welcome. Perfect timing. You landed right at the beginning of the meditation. So let's find a comfortable posture again for the body. Lightly close your eyes and slowly allow your mind to settle on the breath. Take a moment now, as best as you can, to visualize over top your crown is this beautiful image of the Buddha of infinite compassion. So for those of you that just came in, it's right behind you, the statue that we're looking at, if you want to reference the 1,000 arm, see the arms and all the heads. That's the Buddha we're going to be focused on over our crown, facing the same direction as you. If you'd like, he's about 6 inches in height. So you can shrink it down a little bit. And this is really the heart of compassion. This is all this Buddha is about. And imagine at his tiny heart lying on a moon disk, a little moon disk flat. In the center is his seed syllable Shri. And you could just visualize in the nature of light the letters H-R-I-H. And that's kind of the core of blissful nectar that becomes streaming out of that Shri syllable, filling his whole body, coming out of all the pores of his body, coming out of every hand, all those 1,000 arms. Imagine it descending down through your crown, those radiant light nectar rays. All of this infinite compassion filling your whole body, purifying all obscurations, and bringing all the realizations of the entire path. And as I read each particular verse of the 8 verses, it's going to be purifying any obscurations of that verse and bringing in the realizations related to that verse. As you're doing the visualization, if you want to recite Om Mani Padme Hum quietly to yourself, feel free or not, whatever works best. You can always try, and you just try your best. Verse 1, determined to obtain the greatest possible benefit from all sentient beings, or more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, I hold them most dear at all times. The light nectar, imagine, pouring down through your crown like a cascading, blissful waterfall from Chen 6 heart over top your crown. It purifies all the obscurations, especially those preventing you from holding others most dear. And it brings you all these realizations, especially that loving, compassionate bodhicitta that holds others most dear. Come on. Verse 2, when in the company of others, I shall always consider myself the lowest of all, and from the depths of my heart hold others dear and supreme. This is not about being a masochist, it's about developing humility by countering pride. Imagine the blissful light rays again from Chen Sixth heart over top your crown, descending through your crown, purifying all obscurations, especially those that prevent you from considering yourself the lowest of all and from holding others dear and supreme, and brings you all those realizations, especially loving, compassionate bodhicitta. Verse 3. Vigilant the moment a delusion appears in my mind, endangering myself and others, I shall confront and avert it without delay. So again, the blissful nectar coming down from Chen Sixth heart through our crown. Imagine it purifying all obscurations, especially those that prevent you from confronting and averting delusions the moment they appear in your mind, bringing all the realizations along with loving, compassionate bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness, which automatically extinguishes all delusion. Om Mani Padme. Verse 5. When out of envy others mistreat me with abuse, insults, or the like, I shall accept defeat and offer the victory to others. So this very radical approach that diffuses hostility and tension and disharmony. Imagine these blissful light rays again cascading through your crown, purifying all obscurations, especially those that prevent you from accepting defeat and offering the victory to others. Imagine it bringing you all the realizations of loving, compassionate bodhicitta, which accepts defeat and offers the victory to others. Omani Padme Hum. Verse 6. When someone whom I have benefited and in whom I have great hopes gives me terrible harm, I shall regard that person as my holy guru. So we can learn many things from others. And again, they present a problem to us. We learn to transform it. Purifies our mind. So in some ways, we need the difficult people to help us practice patience. We don't learn that from our friends who are easy. Imagine the blissful nectar coming down through your crown from Chen Reisik's heart, purifying all obscurations, especially those that prevent you from seeing beings who harm you as your holy guru, and brings all the realizations of loving, compassionate bodhicitta, which enables you to see harmful beings as an incredible gift. Money Padme Hum. Verse 7. In short, both directly and indirectly, do I offer every happiness and benefit to all my mothers. I shall secretly take upon myself all their harmful actions and suffering. The essence of Tonglen, meditation we were doing earlier, The blissful nectar comes down through your crown from Chenrei 6 heart, purifying all obscurations, especially those that prevent you from offering every happiness and benefit to all living beings, and secretly taking upon yourself all their harmful actions and suffering to reduce your self-cherishing. And imagine it brings all the realizations, especially loving, compassionate bodhicitta. Verse 8, undefiled by the stains of the superstitions of the 8 worldly concerns, may I, by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, be released from the bondage of attachment. So imagine the blissful nectar flowing from Chenrei 6 heart down through our crown, purifies all obscurations, especially those that prevent you from perceiving all phenomena as illusory. So purifying all of your ignorance and confusion, and brings all the realizations, especially the wisdom realizing emptiness. And in conclusion, may we briefly dedicate whatever positive energy in doing this practice. You can imagine the Chenrei Sig on your crown, that 1,000-armed Buddha of compassion. Can you either leave the Buddha there all day? So whatever you eat or drink, you can offer first to them, creating more positive energy for yourself. You could dissolve a replica of them into a radiant drop of light that melts into your crown. Just feel the blessings of his holy body, holy speech, holy mind. May we dedicate that may our mind be merged with that mind state of infinite compassion, so we may benefit infinite, countless, countless living beings. So please relax. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Please take a moment if you'd like to stand up and stretch. Excuse me, I will be right back. So we've come to our last meditation. It's very short today, the 10 to 3. Normally we have a little bit more time to sit with these modules, but it just seems in the degenerate times, less people are wanting to do these meditations longer. It's amazing. And I think the pandemic as well, it's been hard, especially those with Zoom, people are kind of zoomed out. So hopefully as we get our centers open in person, it'll create a nicer environment. So I wanted to do a couple more, but we're going to do a more expansive Tonglen meditation, which I thought would be helpful. Just checking the physical posture and then allowing the mind to settle on the breath. And as we worked earlier with the front visualization of yourself, so please place that being again in the space in front of you. Front visualization of yourself, just seated across from you, a replica of yourself. And just take a moment to think about how you suffer, granting, just generating that big wish that you could be free of that suffering. And imagine again as you inhale, you seated here in your space, in this room, at your home. You're going to take all the suffering from the front visualization of yourself. It doesn't harm you, it simply harms that constricted knot of your self-cherishing at your heart center, at your core. It purifies and diminishes it over and over and over. It continues to form at times, that selfishness, that self-absorption. But every time we inhale, we take the suffering from the front visualization, let it go to that constricted knot, completely eliminating it. And as we eliminate our self-cherishing, we seated here in our space, we can be filled with a sense, a deeper sense of happiness and bliss, peace. And let's offer that to the front visualization of ourself and whatever images represent that to you, whether it's different colored light rays, words like happiness, peace, images of that. And it fills that front visualization with that deep sense of happiness and bliss. And we take the suffering again in whatever images represent that to you, whether it's different colored light rays, images of environmental toxins or war, words like hatred or racism. Again, not harming you, harming your self-cherishing. Tonglen, giving and taking. Just try your best. And taking the focus off of the front visualization of yourself right now, imagine seated to your sides or your family, to your right and left sides, even if they passed away. Let's just do the Tonglen practice now, just focused on our family, taking their suffering in whatever images represent that, letting it chip away at that seed, that constricted knot of self-cherishing at your core, releasing you from that hold, from that suffering, and then offering from that spaciousness all your happiness, all your peace, all your bliss, all the positive things that have happened to you, all your good qualities, giving to all those family members, filling them with a deep sense of happiness and peace. And you can just mount it on a normal, natural breath. So it's not ujjayi breathing like in yoga. And leaving our family and a family there to our sides. Imagine your friends now in a semicircle behind you. These are people you like, colleagues you enjoy working with, neighbors you enjoy. Do this Tonglen practice now, just focused on them, taking their suffering, offering them happiness. And taking the focus now off of the friends behind us in the semicircle, let's look in front of us to one side of the front visualization of yourself. Place somebody you are very challenged by, just one person, that you may even label them as heavy as an enemy, or just somebody you find extremely difficult. And notice this may be a little harder for you, perfectly normal. Do this Tonglen practice now focused on this person. And just imagine if they didn't suffer anymore, they probably wouldn't be in this category of challenging. And just leaving that person right there. Let's go to the other side of the front visualization of ourselves. Place somebody you may label a stranger. So this might be someone you know their first name, but you don't really have an opinion about them one way or another. Do this Tonglen practice now, just focused on this stranger. And let's include all these beings now that we've thought about. The front visualization of ourself, our family, friends, enemy, stranger. And do this Tonglen practice now with all of them. Imagine the ripples of positivity spreading out in this pocket of the world right now, in all of our Zoom environments, from Land of Medicine Buddha, Chen Ling, and let's add right now all of the people that are participating right now, whether they're here in the Land of Medicine Buddha Gompa, whether you're in your own homes, all of us together add to the space, add to all these beings we're thinking about. Let's include them in this Tonglen practice right now, taking their suffering, offering them all of our happiness. And depending how much time you have in your own practice, you can slowly do this, slowly building up the visualization, expanding in whatever way you like. But let's add to it right now. Think of all the beings in Ukraine and other violent war-torn places, whether it's domestic abuse, inner city gun violence, Afghanistan, Ukraine. Just add all these beings as well, all the soldiers as well, including them in this Tonglen practice. And just for a moment, thinking of all the beings all over the world, adding them to the rest of the visualization, taking their suffering, offering them our happiness. And just imagine, if you can, all these beings freed of their suffering. Now we know they are not actually. We just have this visualization for a moment. Everyone blissful, happy, peace everywhere. Almost like tantric visualization. Let's visualize the result now. The result of creating an enlightened universe. One day it will happen. And slowly allow all these beings, peaceful, happy, to slowly dissolve back into the space from which they came, leaving you and the front visualization of yourself. Just looking across at yourself for a moment. Let's send these wishes of loving kindness now to yourself. You deserve it. Just think as all the radiance and all the different images dissolve back into your heart, you seated here in your space. Let the light of loving kindness flow out from your center of your heart to the front visualization of yourself, melting into the heart there and enveloping that front visualization as you think. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from suffering. May loving kindness manifest throughout your life. One more time, melting these light rays into the front visualization of yourself. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from suffering. May loving kindness manifest throughout your life. Just imagine that front visualization freer, happier, lighter. Acknowledge that front visualization in any way you'd like right now before we release them back to the space from which they came. Just let them go as the radiance dissolves back into your heart. You seated here in your space. Let's send these wishes right now to ourselves. Just think. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. May loving kindness manifest throughout my life. In conclusion of our meditation and our time today, may we dedicate whatever positive energy we've created from helping us wake up to our fullest potential as a Buddha, and on the way to develop our bodhicitta, our loving heart, fully open. May it benefit our paths to help us reach an unlimited space where we can benefit all living beings. I'd like to dedicate to the long lives of our precious teachers, especially His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, for the flourishing of all of our centers, especially Chen, Ling Center and Land of Medicine Buddha, for the great flourishing and harmony at and among all of our centers, for peace in Ukraine and all other conflicted places on the planet, for all those with COVID to be healed instantly, for the pandemic to immediately stop on the planet and all other pandemics, and for people with imbalances of body and mind to be healed instantly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Venerable Amy. It was a wonderful way to end our Transforming Problems class. And I'm so glad that we could open it up and welcome people who weren't able to attend the class. And I thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank all of you. I really want to thank Chen Ling Center for hosting. Gina, amazing. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Venerable Carol. I'm very grateful to all of you. So thank you so much for showing up, for everybody here in our space as well. It's been delightful to be in person, sitting with people. And for me, I don't know about you, but some really nice energy happening right now. So I hope you feel it in your spaces as well. It's really somehow we all just have a little group energy together. It's lovely.
We're
So-
actually really excited to be doing another in-person, actually our first since before the pandemic at Chen Ling. So we'll be doing another kind of half-day meditation June 5th, a session with Venerable Jampa Sangmo. And so everyone, of course, is welcome to attend. You were talking before about meditating when you're walking by the ocean. And so it's going to be both sitting and walking meditation. And it's our kind of first way of having people back at the center. So again, we can have this kind of energy where we're all together. So we're looking forward to it. I hope people can join us, but thank you, Venerable Amy, for a day like today. Thank you.
Well, that's fantastic. That's wonderful that Chen Ling is opening. That's our center in San Francisco. So if you're in that area, there is a center there you can find on the fpmt.org website or sechenling.org, TSE. Now it's spelled TSECHEN, Chen Ling. It's located in the southern part of San Francisco, and wonderful, sweet little center, like a small church. It's just lovely there. So that's exciting that you're getting back opened up, and hope to do some things in the future. Hope we can collaborate on some things. And please pass the word also. We are looking for, it's at Land of Medicine Buddha, a spiritual program coordinator. We also need some handy people to help us right away. So greatly appreciate all of your help like that. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And on a personal note, thank you to whoever helped set up your Zoom connection in the Gompa. Thank you.
It worked well, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. That was Michael. So thank you to Michael, who's here with us now. Fantastic.
Okay.
And so enjoyed. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Look forward to seeing you all again. If you're interested in other things that I'm doing as well, I'll just put it right here. You can check on my website, amymiller.com. Whoops. I don't have a whole lot scheduled right now because I've got a lot of responsibilities here, but there is something coming up for Brazil in the summer and other things. So we'll see how it goes. So thanks. There's also a Laudo pilgrimage coming. So if you want to, and Gina has been there, Gina can tell you all about it. April 30th, May to May 18th, 2023. I have everything crossed right now because we had to postpone for several years. So I'm leading a pilgrimage to Laudo. It's a remote retreat center near Mount Everest. The last one we did was 2018. It's a place I've done a lot of retreats where Lama Zopa Rinpoche's sister lives. She is a nun, about 80 years old now. She's amazing. So we will do a 3-day retreat there after flying up to a small trekking village, trekking from there, several days, taking our time. So we're acclimatized. 3-day retreat. We'll explore a little bit of the area. We'll have a day together where I'll show you my little personal haunts in Kathmandu, a little precious temple there. And we'll stay at the Kopan Nunnery. And it's a pretty special trip. So if you're interested in making pilgrimage like that, that's all on my website. And there's a itinerary that I think is just getting updated. And you can sign up, and there's a link of who you email. So if you're interested in that, it was phenomenal. So thank you so much.
Okay.
And it's a
Thank you.
fundraiser for Laudo, so to help them along like that.
Okay. Thanks again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone. Please be well.
Thank you.